In this lesson, we're looking at Arkansas's Agrarian Revolt. The Grange was formed in December 1867 by Oliver Hudson Kelley, who was a former clerk in the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, plus 6 other men. Now, this was not formed in Arkansas. It was initially formed elsewhere, but Arkansas memberships do come in time. We'll talk about those in a minute. But the main purpose of the Grange was to unite farmers to advance their common interest. By 1875, their membership stood 760,000 strong. John Thompson Jones of Helena was a politically prominent Delta planter who was responsible for bringing the Grange to Arkansas. In June 1872, he reached out to Kelley to ask for Grange info, and then by August that same year, the first chapter in the state was organized with 9 men and 5 women. And yes, women could also join the Grange, and in that way, it gave women an opportunity to be involved in the actual operations of the farm. It also gave people a chance to socialize. So 9 men and 5 women started the first charter of the Arkansas Grange. In June 1873, there were 15 chapters in the state that met and collectively formed the Arkansas Grange. As the Grange continues to grow, it becomes a national organization, and in 1874 the national group meets to declare its statement of purposes. They identify middlemen and monopolists as their economic enemies of the farmer. They encouraged crop diversification and economic cooperation. Also, they encouraged nonpartisanship, not to get involved with either party as an organization. Arkansas membership grew to more than 20,000 with 631 chapters and an all-white membership in the Grange. They joined the Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi area to form the Southwestern Cooperative Association, and co-op stores were run by this organization for a short time. Almost as quickly as it grew, the Grange also fell. It fell 45% in terms of membership by July 1876 and was almost completely gone to basically nothing by 1879. And the reason for that is simply that it couldn't solve the farmers' economic problems. There was some partisan strife that was going on too. The Grange was helpful, like I mentioned before, in offering social and recreation opportunities, not just for men and women who were members of the Grange, but for their families too. It also helped improve farming methods by teaching new and inventive, more efficient methods of farming. And I don't think I've mentioned it yet, Grange just simply means farm. So the Grange was the name of the organization for farmers. Even though the Grange ultimately fell, it did show farmers that there was a need to organize, a need to work together. And so in Arkansas, in the Delta, in 1882, some farmers got together to start a farmers' union known as the Agricultural Wheel. The problems that it wanted to address were that banks could only loan money for cash crops, and the cash crop was cotton. So everyone who wants a loan must produce cotton. That means there's a lot of cotton production, and it's driving the price of cotton down. So farmers who had the expense of growing and harvesting cotton in order to get their loans that they need for their homes or whatever else they need it for, are losing money. But the shippers, the people who own the warehouses, and all the middlemen are still profiting. The farmers, however, are not. So that's a problem that the agricultural wheel wants to address. Just like it was hard for a farmer to get a loan without producing cotton, it was hard for farmers to get credit. The 1874 Constitution in Arkansas wouldn't allow a homestead to satisfy debt. So a bank didn't want to loan money with the house as collateral because if the farmer couldn't pay the loan, they couldn't take the house or the homestead. The 1879 law that was added later wouldn't allow property foreclosure unless it could sell for at least 2/3 of the appraised value. So these two items together made farmers really risky loan opportunities, and so bankers didn't want to loan money to farmers. So 9 Delta farmers get together to form a group, some sort of union of farmers in Desark, or a community near Desark. And they called it the Watansaw Farmers Club for that community. The concerns that they wanted to address were the tenant system, the idea of sharecropping wasn't working out for small farmers. That kind of thing only worked out for large plantation owners. Also, they wanted to address political corruption and an inequitable system where farmers sold low but manufacturers sold high. So the farmers were on the bad end of that deal. So what started as the Watansaw Farmers Club changed 4 weeks later to change to the agricultural wheel. They wanted to make a reference to agriculture as a great wheel that controls the world's industries. I mean, without food, where would we be, right? So that's the focus of the agricultural wheel's name change. It becomes a statewide organization in 1883 and has 500 members, so it's grown rather quickly from 9 members to 500. What was the agricultural wheel's purpose? Well, they wanted to improve members' economic situations, and one way to do that would be through co-op buying, where you go in together as a group to buy in bulk, sort of like shopping at Sam's today or Costco or wherever. So it's co-op buying. They also wanted to have time to teach new efficient farming methods and to end the one crop system. Again, the idea that you had to grow cotton in order to get a loan was killing a lot of the small farmers. Also, they wanted to end anaconda mortgages. So what are anaconda mortgages? Well, they're crushing, for one thing. You know how an anaconda crushes, whomever it's got, whomever or whatever that it's wrapping around. So anyway, it was crushing. But it took all of a lender's property to secure a loan in these types of mortgages. So if you couldn't make a payment on one thing, you lost everything. Everything. So they wanted to end that too. They also wanted to end business and banking monopolies that were oppressive to farmers, and some of the members entered politics to try to make a difference from within the political system as well. The agricultural wheel caught on. By October 1885, there were 462 organizations in Arkansas, 10 in Alabama, 3 in Mississippi, and 4 in Texas. They end up merging with the Brothers of Freedom, which is a Northwest Arkansas farmers organization. And when they did that, the Brothers of Freedom had been rather politically active, and so some of the membership left because of that. But still, all in all, the agricultural wheel was rather strong in membership. So the agricultural wheel actually goes on to become a national organization. At a meeting on July 28, 1886, Isaac McCracken was elected president, and C.A. Stewart was elected vice president of this national organization. At this time, they dropped the word white from their membership requirements to allow for black wheels organizations to develop in communities if those communities so desired. Now, there were separate organizations. They weren't integrated wheel or agricultural wheels, but there were white and black wheels now. This was seen as an admission by white farmers that they recognized that they shared the same problems as black farmers. Now, that doesn't seem like a big aha moment for us today, but at the time, it showed solidarity, and, we're kind of all the same. In a way, in a really stretch, it was kind of a form of equality. Again, not total equality, because these organizations were still segregated. There were white wheels and black wheels, but just the recognition that white farmers and black farmers were facing the same problems was kind of a revelation that had not been had in the South until this point on a large scale. In 1885, Monroe County Sons of the Agricultural Star, a black organization, joins the wheel. As members of the agricultural wheel want to get involved in politics, there's an issue that keeps them from really going all in together as a group into politics because of that whole bipartisanship thing. You know, they can't support either Republican or Democrat. They have to be open. So the way that they get around that is they form a party that's neither Republican nor Democrat. They form the Union Labor Party of Arkansas in order to keep that bipartisan requirement. And they form the Union Labor Party of Arkansas with the Knights of Labor. So now there's a collaborative effort to enter politics. The wheel organization, the Union Party or the Union Labor Party, has a ticket of candidates that was nominated, but the state meeting did not endorse them all, so none were elected. Wheel member Lewis Featherston, who was actually a candidate for Congress on that ticket but lost, actually gets appointed to Congress later after it was determined that his election was impacted by a lot of election fraud. 1888 by far was the high point for the agricultural wheel. There were 1,947 wheels in every county in Arkansas. That included 75,000 plus membership just in this state. There were monthly meetings that gave social opportunities for the members and their families that also created the feeling of belongingness and gave people a sense of purpose. They also had educational programs that helped farmers and their families at those meetings. The agricultural wheel ends when it merges with the National Farmers Alliance and Industrial Union of America at a meeting in Birmingham, Alabama in 1889. And at that point, they withdraw the ability for black farmers to have membership in the organization, which loses half of the southern farmers altogether at that point even. So from there, it's a steady decline for the agricultural wheel.